Hello, my name is Sam Rowley, and I'll be going over the FBA, the data, and the BIP. My student name was Peyton Manning. He's in the fourth grade, age 10, at Booker T. Washington Elementary. He is in the SPED program, and he is identified with his disability with autism. Some history about my student is that he demonstrates appropriate voice fluency, is able to articulate with same age peers with informal observation. He often seems to want to work. He is often easily discouraged by even the slightest corrective feedback. So when working with him on a one-on-one setting or even in a whole group setting, he often gets discouraged when that attention is veered from him. Some observations that I got within the classroom. He was assigned to complete a worksheet during the writing class. He began the worksheet at the time as his peers. After about 5 minutes, when he felt like the work was too hard, he wasn't getting, the attention he wanted, he began to stand in front of his seat and started to move around on his desk about 3 or 4 laps. So he was kind of orbiting the classroom right about 5 to 6 minutes after the students had started their classwork. He then sat on the floor under his desk and began tapping on his desk with the pencil. This obviously caused noise in the classroom, and so he wasn't engaged with the assignment, and so the noise began to get louder. The teacher came and asked if he needed a break. He has break cards, so he's able to show some of the gen ed teachers that he does need a break. And so sometimes he doesn't like to verbally say something, so he can just show the card, some things that we've been practicing. When it's time to take a break, unfortunately, his break cards were ripped up and began walking around the walls, like I said, orbiting the classroom. He also made a threat to the teachers and himself, wanting to harm himself. Obviously, we take that into great considerations when any student makes a threat to harm themselves or harm a staff member. So that was addressed to some of the guidance counselors at our school after that incident did happen. Let's kind of summarize the data. During various activities, classwork, Peyton Manning will use appropriate social skills and respond to the teachers and peers 80%. That's his goal. There are some data points that he got. It was about 55, 50, 45, 55, and 60. So obviously he still ways away from the 80% goal, but there was progression there with some dips. And that's obviously an adverse effect of him being diagnosed with autism. During various activities, he will use appropriate classroom social skills and initiate teachers and peers interactions with 80% accuracy, 4 out of 5 opportunities and direct measures. And that would include, but not limited to, any data system checklists and probes collected weekly. So there was a slight decline in this, 60, 55, 50, 50, and 55. So he's right, kind of averaging at that 55 range right now. Summarize some of the reinforcement strategies that we've been using for him is a great program called Zone of Regulations. Creates a semantic approach to teach regulations by categorizing all the different ways we feel and states the alertness we experience into concentrate colored zone. So for instance, there's a blue zone, green zone, yellow zone, and red zone. Blue zone obviously means kind of down the dumps. And green zone is happy zone. Everything's good on cloud 9. Yellow zone is, a little bit frustrated. And then red zone is doesn't mean always loss of temper. It also can mean overjoyed. And so kind of I'm out of control of my emotion. And that could be elated, and that could also be enraged too. So some people think that since it's red, it means automatic anger or negative. It also can mean you're laughing uncontrollably. So there's just different zones that that guide us to kind of show us where he's at, and we practice with that as far as being having voices mood, and being able to advocate for his emotions rather than just playing the guessing game, which is no fun for the staff and our students. So during the observation, I noticed that he wanted attention from the teacher that he felt he wasn't getting. Some of the mechanisms that he used was escaped after reaching the red zone. He wanted to leave the room. Moving on to the data portion. You see, this is some of the duration of the de-escalation, versus his IEP goal, the counter de-escalations, and also the his second IEP goal. I can see the duration of his behavior always needed some type of correction and de-escalations. The longer the behavior, the longer the de-escalations. So 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. And all those took right around the average of 6 to 8 minutes to de-escalate the situation. Like I said, he knows and is aware of the staff members that he can talk to. And so that we make sure that he understands that, if he may not be feeling like he wants to talk to one staff member, that he has options and he's able to reach out and talk to them when needed. And like I said, he also has those cue cards as far as having breaks and a color system to let him know that if he is not in the right phase of wanting to speak to a instructor or a teacher, that he can just point and let them know what kind of zone he's in. I said his IEP goals and the trials, showing you the percentage of what he did. Like I said, just show you where he is. His goal is 80%, and he's, like I said, kind of ways away from that 60%, but there is progression in that first goal, and then second goal, there was a slight decline. Going to the behavioral intervention plan. Again, we've kind of went over the diagrams of the student. One of the behaviors that was a typical behavior was emotion responses. Example, suicidal or ideation of and attention to respond would be escape, attention, and then also escape. PM has endured adverse early childhood experiences, which has brought about mistrust of adults, as well as fear would manifest as aggression. He has been described as operating out of survival mode. So some conditions we worked on as far as voicing the mood, initiating peers and staff respectively, responding to peers and staff respectively. Minimize workload. As I said, he feels that if he has a ton of work, not the fact that he can't do it, but he feels like, when there's multiple things to do in the classroom, he may not be getting that attention from, sorry if I wasn't sharing. He may not be getting attention from his teacher. Then that may create a discouragement and or change of emotion. Making sure that we provide reminders and prompts for him to know that what the class routines are, break up the tasks into smaller chunks, rather having, hey, work on this for the rest of the class. Hey, I want you to at least get to number 3 and let's take a break. And just kind of working like that. And that way he knows that there are breaks within the classroom and classwork, so that he doesn't feel like he's overwhelmed. Criteria: withdraw, avoidance, and subdued behavior, responsive to simple directions or tasks, willing. And then defensive behavior, denial, blaming others. Potential reinforcers as far as independent rewards, actively pass computer time, music, candy, chips, drinks, as far as positive reinforcement to kind of keep them on track and kind of work towards a goal. Independent rewards, again, with the computer and peer-based reward, as far as we do have a school store that we have. And if you have so many e-bucks, you're able to buy things from the store. So it's always a kind of a competitive thing for the students. They like to do that, kind of do it every other Friday. Independent rewards will be activity pass, computer time again, and line leader. As you know, this is elementary school. That's a big deal. Class privileges, work displayed, and being a teacher helper. And so moving on to intervention. So intervention strategy, the case manager, gen ed teacher, support staff, everybody that's kind of that is involved with the student's IEP will be all hands on deck as far as the student intervention plan. De-escalation techniques, social skill techniques, practice prior skills for X amount of minutes a day. And that goes with all the intervention and reinforcement strategy, looking at visual praise and specific behaviors. A lot of times, we often as teachers and educators, we catch students doing the wrong, make sure that we're catching them doing the right thing as well. So giving them praise, avoid power struggles, avoid any type of body language communicates anger or frustration, move slowly and deliberately toward the problem situation, and acknowledge cooperation. Corrective strategies, zones of regulation, the program that I mentioned before. Figure 8 breathing, kind of working on breathing mechanisms if he's heated or if he's in a place where he can't control his emotions, that there are breathing techniques to calm him down. And then again, as we have who will implement these, will be case manager and gen ed teacher and support staff. If there is a crisis management plan where he does get overly aggressive, we do have a plan set out for that to clear the room, students, remove the negative situation, and give opportunity to calm down sensory items and support physiological regulations. And so to make sure that the health setting and the student and staff, everybody involved is safe. And that is it.